About this time, I had a dream which both frightened and encouraged me. It was night in some unknown place, and I was making slow and painful headway against the mighty wind. Dense fog was flying about along everywhere. I had my hands cupped around a tiny light which threatened to go out at any moment. Everything depended on my keeping this little light alive. Suddenly, I had the feeling that something was coming up behind me. I looked back and saw a gigantic black figure following me. But at the same moment, I was conscious, in spite of my terror, that I must keep my little light going through the night and wind, regardless of all dangers. When I awoke, I realized at once that the figure was a spectator of Brocken, my own shadow on the swirling mists, brought into being by the little light I was carrying. I knew, too, that this little light was my consciousness, the only light I have. My own understanding is the sole treasure I possess, the greatest. Though infinitely small and fragile in comparison with the powers of darkness, it is still a light, my only light. This was an excerpt from Carl Jung's Memories, Dreams, and Reflections. I too, 2 nights ago, had a dream where I saw all my teeth fall out. I wasn't afraid, and the next scene was where I spun out of the road with my children, and we were drowning, and I tried to help them, and I couldn't help them, and some power pulled us back on the road, and we were driving again. And to me, the way I feel and explain it is there's a lot of hate towards me because of the light I carry and because of my own darkness, my own shadow that I've integrated and is darker than their darkness. And the helping hand probably was Creator himself, showing me to surrender and guided me and helped me out. So the reason I'm doing this episode today is if you take mastery and craft into account, I could have prepared better for this episode. But I feel a sense of urgency and that I have to put this episode out there, because otherwise I feel like I'm not doing something that I need to do. And although I already want to reread Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse and reread 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel, I also have a feeling that I should pursue blockchain. There's curiosity there in building something with blockchain and AI and agents. During the preparation and reading this book, I actually built myself a tool with AI that uses agents to go through my previous episodes and find connections in the video and make summaries of the video. And this was, in a sense, a first-hand experience of actually kind of tying agents to something tangible. Otherwise, I've been reading about them, I'm like, yeah, but what am I going to do with them? So yes, that be that. I'm now gonna go to my notes and just see how what I wrote down and what I'm going to talk to you about. And this is what I said. I could have prepared better for this, but it is what it is. Sometimes it's just quantity over quality is good as well. So one of the main questions that runs through the entire book is, how do you become who you actually are? And these questions are also encountered in versions. All these questions are also in Naval, in Taoism, and Castaneda, on entrepreneurship and spiritual life. And most of this book is how I think about becoming myself, and integrating your shadow, individuation, dreams and the unconscious are information rather than noise. Yes. Synchronicity, the limits of pure irrational worldview, the second half of life, moving from achievement toward meaning. Synchronicity today as well was really interesting. I've been having trouble sleeping at the house where I live in, so I came to my mother's house. It's beautiful here by the sea. My charger went off. So, and there's this girl who's driving a buggy. I don't know, it seems like they have an issue with me as well. And while I was finishing this book today, I had this feeling. Oh yeah, this girl came into my mind, and when I was driving here through the forest road, she ended up being in front of me, and it kind of made sense. And now I understand, and I also understand why I should pursue agents and blockchain, because I feel like I've maximized this energy here. I maxed it out, and everyone's kind of like trying to max it out as well. So this energy is just stuck here. There's a life your conscious ego thinks you should live, and there's a deeper life trying to emerge through you, 100%. And maybe this is one of the. I've been going really hard, and maybe this is one of the reasons that in my dream someone tried to help me out. Your life is an inner direction. One of the most striking things about the Memoir is that Jung doesn't describe his life primarily as a series of career decisions. He describes it almost as if something within him was trying to become conscious. I've become conscious of my Christ being, of my eternal being, but I'm also becoming conscious of the entrepreneur and builder. I had a lot of fun building my own homepage, and this I call it Sage, which I imitated from someone, but it's okay to imitate your heroes. You learn from them. Yeah, and for some reason I have this calling toward code, blockchain, agents, AI, and oh yeah, I found myself super excited when I look at text editors. I'm like, that's the path. I should go that way, And like a decade ago, there's this maxim I learned from David Senra, like belief comes before ability, and I didn't believe in myself. I thought I'm too stupid to learn to code. Well, maybe something was saving. I did actually learn to code too a little bit, but now everyone's using text editors. I mean, like AI to code, and it's like code is like AI coders. AI is coding better than most of code. Even like craftsmen like David Einar Hansson, they're using agents in AI to code. I mean, before I go any further, this book was a great book, and in all honesty, I don't have the patience, nor am I that good in explaining this book. I wouldn't do it justice. Carl Jung is a phenomenal guy. That's why he's well known. Something I would like to add is like it's all energy. I mean, I remember there was a part in this book where he says like when he was just a schoolboy, he was walking somewhere, and he almost fell over a railing on a bridge, and he's like he didn't know whether it was suicidal tendencies or just death following him or something, like some, how fragile life is. And then it in my mind it popped up that It's all energy, and if you're a being of light, and if you're one of those chosen ones, then there's always some dark forces in lower vibrations who are gonna try to pull you down. And I'm experiencing it firsthand. I mean, I've experienced enlightenment with those 6 plants when I mixed them together. One of them wasn't planned. LSD wasn't a plant, but it is what it is. Let's continue. I'm gonna do this episode to the best of my ability. The persona is not the self. And we develop a socially functional identity, like whether you're a father, founder, CEO, a successful person, spiritual person, etc. And Jung calls this the mask of the persona. The problem is having one. You need one to the problem isn't having one, but you need one to function. And the danger is believing that is you. So yeah, that's a good point. This is what I felt as well, in a sense that oh, the next one is good, but this is a point. I'm like, I have kind of reached a point in my life. I'm not scared of death. I understand. There's also in this book. I could have prepped it better, and there's a part in this book where he talks about Buddha and what Buddha realized. But it's like, you let go. You understand you're like an eternal being in this body. So I understood that, and I worked through a lot of like parts of myself that I got from my father and mother and society, and also parts of the my heroes who used to be my heroes, like the spiritual people, like the shamans. I also worked for them, and I got into the state of non-being, maybe, like where I would say, I just am. I am who I am, and this is the way I am. And I see through a lot of people, and that's why also Jung talks about this, like loneliness. I see through a lot of people. I'm like, that's who they are. That's where they are in their game. I'm like, I don't really, I'm not interested in it. I'm not even trying to be arrogant or above someone. I'm not interested in it. So becoming yourself requires meeting what you don't want to be. This brings you into the shadow. You can't become whole simply by developing the characteristics you admire. You also have to encounter what you've excluded from your conscious identity. Imagine someone being the identity of rational, disciplined, kind, and courageous. Their unconscious may be irrational, lazy, aggression. This is a good example of my mother. She thinks she's really nice, but I've shown her the parts of myself. I've shown her parts of herself because I've healed those parts of myself. And she doesn't want to admit that she's like that. Pretty wild. Here I wrote my biggest. Isn't exactly connected to this, but in a sense it is. My biggest fear was that I was gay. I liked girls, but I could not get any. Then I found out about Girard. Girard is another philosopher I found out from Peter Thiel, and he said that often men become gay when they are suppressed by their mothers. In his book, Jung also said that it is a mother wound of men who are homosexuals. Yeah, exactly. When I read this book, it brings a lot of stuff together. Jung's break with Freud is itself an individuation story. Yeah, Freud wasn't like another academic to Jung. He was like a father figure. You disappoint the person whose approval helped you create your identity. That's a pretty interesting one for me, because the shamans and all the people I looked up to, like, eventually I saw through them, all of them. In a sense, I saw through them. Like, I don't want to be them. I don't want to be them. Not at all. Every one of them is stuck in their own self. in their own game. The shamans, they all like it is what it is. Um, Sometimes losing your map is beginning of finding yourself. Hello. Hey, you gotta let the dogs back in. Pets, mine sisse. Mine, Petsja, mine sisse. Okay, this is the part that I wasn't prepped for. Yo, go back in. I gotta finish my episode. Tule siia, tule. Pets, tule sisse, kuule sõna, mine. Ma teen oma episoodi ära. Your conscious says, I'm doing great, but your dream says, I'm driving into the ocean. Individuation is not do whatever feels authentic. The distinction is important. Modern culture can turn be yourself into follow your desires. Don't let anybody tell you what to do. Express yourself. Individuation is integration. Yeah. This is a big one for me as well, because I've been saying, like, I don't know, I experienced enlightenment, like non-duality, when I mixed those 6 plants together a decade ago. And I've been saying, like, and I've been integrating ever since. And I really do feel like a whole person, in a sense that the only thing that I lack is the right amount of money to be free. So, yeah. That's pretty interesting. Your projections prevent you from seeing yourself. What if the people who produce the strongest reactions in you are carrying pieces of yourself you haven't recognized yet? Oh, I have. For example, I have this one neighbor who really she wants to be a dominating red queen, and I'm like, there are just I understand that people want to dominate and be powerful in their own little worlds, but it just really resonated with me. Maybe like I don't like her, but I understand I don't like her because like people don't know when to stop. And I'm like, And for me, this is the part where I have to, if I also work through the money issue, even though my mom is wealthy, and I give a lot of myself, in the sense that I didn't live my life the way I wanted to live because she didn't let me. And second of all, I was afraid, and I'm like, also, she's my mom, I gotta support her the best way I can. Yeah. Anima and Animus pushes the problem deeper. Parts of the psyche can appear to consciousness almost like independent personalities. And this also is like, this is what I'm saying, like I'm integrating for 10 years because I'm trying to find this kind of like not trying to find a balance, but I know what I experienced and I'm demanding a lot of myself. Yeah. Meaning can matter more than happiness. Jung's memoir isn't really organized around being happy. It is much more concerned with meaning, the major distinction for my episode. I have finally optimized my life so I feel good all the time. This isn't the objective. All pain, death, uncertainty, failure, and contradiction remain. Yeah, I want to be a great father to my children. I want to be a good husband. I want to be healthy, and I want to also work on something meaningful, not just family but a career. but not as a career, but like work, life's work. Even though I say this could be my life's work, but I'm feeling like, by the way, I'm feeling with this project, I'm feeling, especially with like this is what I know, especially with this book and with this cannabis book. It takes, I don't have the patience. It takes way too long to read the books and then to summarize them. I'm like, sheesh. Individuation does not mean isolation. There's a subtle danger here. Become yourself can sound narcissistic. Fuck everyone else. I'm following my truth. Jung's individuation is simply separating yourself from everyone. So the more genuinely individual you become, the more genuinely you may be able to meet another individual. 100%. And also, like, I understand the person I was before. All the work with the plant medicines and all. I've become a very soft person to strangers, in a sense. I'm like, I don't demand anything from them, but I am hardcore on myself and on my family. I'm like, you can push myself. Become who you are, and what exactly is that dies. He talks about energy as well, and it's really nice. He talks about I remember he was talking about the dream where his father passed away, and this is also, there's like, I've had a lot of these kind of experiences myself as well. But Jung says that his father passed away, and then in his dream, his father revisits him and says that, "Oh, I had my vacation and now I'm back." And it's all energy, and God is around us. I see God in numbers. I see these numbers in like 6-4 and 4-9, and like sometimes when I drive the cab, I'm like, there's 4-9, 6-4, and like all these, like, it's just, there's 5-5-5, 5-0-5. All these cars are around. And I'm like, Jesus Christ! And this is what it means. I'm like, I maxed out the energy here, and it's not that I'm even trying. It's just kind of comes naturally to me. And this is why I might have to go into crypto, blockchain and crypto and AI and stuff like that. It also kind of feels like I maxed out the energy here locally. And also I've had these experiences where, like, I drive the cab, and then for some person, like, it's like I feel like it's not the person talking. There's someone behind the person who's talking. There's like a bigger consciousness talking and directing me. I've had a lot of these experiences. Of course, it could be that I want to interpret these things like that. But yeah, yeah, yeah. And so, I mean, of course, it's a huge book. There's so much more I could talk to about this, but I'm like, I'm probably going to be happier that I that I read through the book, and that I made this episode. And I'm thinking, like, just even having these kinds of conversations is pretty nice. But I also want to build. I want to put this episode out there, and then I want to keep on building my product. And I'm also having ideas, like, with games and crypto and agents, and like, I have to, like, this. It's exciting, and even reading the other books isn't that bad of an idea. Maybe I'm gonna continue this project, maybe not. The first idea was to make 4 episodes, which I did. So yeah, so I was crossing the bridge over at the Rhine Falls at Nohau when the maid caught me just in time. I already had one leg under the railing and was about to slip through. These things point to an unconscious suicidal urge, or it may be a fatal resistance to the life in this world. Yeah. Through this childhood dream, I was initiated into the secrets of the earth. What happened then was a kind of a burying in the earth, and how many years were to pass before I came out again today. I know that it happened in order to bring the greatest possible amount of light into darkness. It was an initiation into the realm of darkness. My intellectual life had its unconscious beginnings at the time. My mother reading him, his mother reading him children's book contained an account of exotic religions, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. I also had these kinds of experiences. I remember when I was visiting Bali for the first time, I had this like urge to go through all of the temples. And of course I didn't go through all of the temples. There's a lot of temples there, but a lot of them I did go through. And yeah. Courage. Obviously, God also desires me to show courage. Courage is so underrated. I have been listening to founders speaking of courage. I remember a quote that if you lack courage, all other virtues are non-existent. Yeah. Yeah. I think this is the best I can do with this episode for now. Even, yeah. I'm not sure if the book format is the right thing. Maybe it is. Maybe it is not. But I enjoyed reading this book, and I've been enjoying putting videos out. Been enjoying editing my homepage. I've been enjoying working on Sage with agents, and let's see what the future is going to bring. What I want to depart you with is like I highly, if anybody watches this, I highly recommend having faith. There's also I'm gonna try to find this before I finish this off. They all want to force something to come out of logic, something they have not been granted and do not really know about. They want to prove a belief to themselves, whereas actually it is a matter of experience. They seemed to me like people who knew by hearsay that elephants existed but have never seen one. And now we're trying to prove by arguments that on logical grounds such animals must exist and be constituted as in fact they are. And this is where he talks about God, and talks about how religious institutions try to teach upon God, and what they end up doing is, and from his own father's example, they end up putting walls around your knowledge and consciousness, and you end up not finding God. His father was betrayed by his own faith. Yeah, I encourage you to believe that there's much more out there than all this material stuff and fluff. Yeah. All the best. May God be with you. May the force be with you. And it's easier to go to the dark side than stay there. But it's powerful to go there and come back and keep on carrying the light of consciousness. Yahoo!